नमस्ते प्रणाम गीता ध्यान ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ददामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Arjuna. The ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O goddess, showerer of the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters. O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Now, Krishna Vandana. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devakim Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. O son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki, O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. And today, in connection with performing this yajna, the act of sacrificing everything, sacrificing our ego, sacrificing our tendencies of enjoying the sense objects, with the control of the senses by the mind. That is the sacrifice. And Sri Krishna is further telling us that how this yajna, this sacrifice, is so very beneficial to us. This act of giving up, this act of sacrifice is, in fact, in turn, it is not only going to do good to others, it is also going to bring good for ourselves. So that is what Sri Krishna is telling. This is the Shlok 11 of Karma Yoga, 3rd Adhyay of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Devān bhāvayatānena te devā bhāvayantu vaha parasparaṁ bhāvayantaḥ śhreyaḥ param avāpsyatha. Sri Krishna says, devān bhāvayatānena te devāh bhāvayantu vaha. Devān, the gods. Now, what is the term gods Sri Krishna means? It has got several interpretations. One could be the mythological gods that we have been reading in the mythological texts like Indra, Varuna, for whom during the Vedic period, when this act of actually the yajna karma kanda, it was started to make these gods happy. Those who are dwelling in the stellar places, stellar planes, those higher gods. We used to say God is sitting there high up. That is some kind of representation of the God which is actually dwelling in us. Those are the representations. So even that kind of representative of the God is also one of the interpretations of what Sri Krishna has spoken of here of devān. Devān bhāvayatānena. Bhāvayat is nourishing. Nourishing those gods. Anena, with this sacrifice, with this yajna. Te devā bhāvayantu vaha. Te, those gods, te devā, those gods, bhāvayantu, may get nourished with this nourishment in the form of the sacrifices that the people are doing, that you are doing. whatever sacrifices you are doing, those sacrifices could be considered as the nourishment for all those gods who are sitting there in the higher planes. Te devā bhāvayantu vaha. Gods are also nourished, and in turn gods are nourishing you. Parasparaṁ bhāvayantaḥ. It is not, gods are also not the entities that they will only take. Like you are giving it, yeah, like you are offering, like you are sacrificing everything to the higher selves. They in turn, they also parasparaṁ bhāvayantaḥ, they also nourish yourself, your smaller little self. You are nourishing them, they are also nourishing you. Parasparaṁ bhāvayantaḥ. It is a mutual give and take. You are giving, they are taking, and in turn they are also giving. Parasparaṁ bhāvayantaḥ śhreyaḥ param avāpsyatha. Param, highest. Śhreyaḥ is good. Avāpsyatha, you shall attain. And thus, doing good to them, nourishing them with the good nourishment, they are also in turn nourishing you. And with this kind of act, with this kind of sacrificial act of you nourishing the gods and gods in turn nourishing you, you will reach the supreme good. You will reap the supreme good. That is what Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna now. Cherish the devas with this. Make them happy with this sacrifice, with this giving up attitude. The higher selves will be very much satisfied. They will be cherishing the moment of your sacrifice. And may those deities also cherish you. They, having been made happy, they will in turn make you also happy. So thus cherishing one another. It is a mutual sharing of happiness. It is a mutual cherishing. So, thus cherishing one another, you shall reap the supreme good. You shall reap the supreme good. You will attain the greatest of the results on your journey. So, now, earlier we said, the word devā that Sri Krishna has used can be interpreted in various ways. Etymologically, the word devā can mean one that is shining. That one which is at a very high plane, shining like a star. Something. And in the human frame, when we consider the word devā from human body perspective, the senses can also be termed as devā. Because these devas are playing tricks on us. Sometimes they are very good, sometimes they create havoc in our life. Like if God Varuna, if he gets annoyed, there will be so much of a rain that there will be floods and flooding, and the entire surroundings will be destroyed by that thunder and storm and horrible rains. If God's Son is angry, what happens? I mean, it is all burning. The temperatures start shooting up beyond 45, 48. And so mythologically there is one set of God. But when you talk of gods from the perspective of the human body as such, the senses, they are also termed as God. They are also termed as devā. And it is through these senses that we perceive this world. They are the causal factors for our understanding of the worlds, and therefore the senses are also termed as devas. Now, what Sri Krishna says, if we try to interpret it from this perspective, the gods as the senses, you please the senses with your act of sacrifice, and in turn senses will also please you. Why? Because basically senses, all our senses, they are a connection, a joining medium for the sense objects and our real self, our Atman. These are the connecting points. These are the points of perception, perceiving the outer world, and through that perception, through that association, through that experience of senses with the sense objects, the Atman, which is dwelling inside, that becomes happy. So, Sri Krishna says, you make the senses happy, the senses will make you happy. Now, it is not the natural tendency of senses to get only in the negative frame of mind. Basically, the senses are there to perceive this world from the divine perspective. Why it should have that our eyes should only perceive vulgarity in a certain object? Why can't our eyes, even if the object seem to be vulgar, why not the eye, that sense of sight, perceive divinity in that object? That object is also manifestation of the divine. And likewise for all the senses, that let us perceive the divinity in whatever the senses are getting connected with those sense objects. And when that happens, the Atman, the ultimate indweller of this body, which is the ultimate reality, that starts enjoying the absolute bliss. The moment the senses connect us with the divinity in those sense objects, not otherwise. If it is otherwise, from the worldly enjoyment point of view, for a fraction of a moment there is a pleasure, but most of the time there is pain. For a fraction of a moment there is happiness, most of the time there is sorrow, there is unhappiness, there is misery, there is gloom. So this is one interpretation of Sri Krishna saying that you satisfy, you cherish these gods with the act of sacrifice. The gods will cherish you, and thus each other cherishing each other, you will enjoy the best of the goods in this life and hereafter. So that is another way of interpretation. If the senses are abused, then they also get worn out. But if the senses are, treated in the right manner, in the right person, the mind controlling the senses, when you look at the sense objects as the manifestation of divinity, the result is totally different. Mutual fostering takes place this way, causing good to both, and life becomes enriched thereby. Highly evolved souls are also called devas wherever they happen to be. They may be in the heavens, they may be in other spheres between the ultimate heaven and the earth. We don't know how many cosmic spheres are there. The cosmic forces are also called devas because of their efficient functioning. So there can be various interpretations of this word deva that Sri Krishna has spoken to Arjuna about. And all said and done, it is the yajna, it is the sacrifice, it is the act of giving up which aids these devas, whichever way you may interpret. This act of sacrifice, this act of giving up, this act of offering, that aids all these devas, all these gods, and in their noble and auspicious endeavors. If you consider senses as the gods, yes, it will help them. Your sacrificial act, your giving up of the worldly pleasures will be will be auspicious for the senses also. The good and the noble in the world spontaneously come forward to serve the doers of good and promote their noble cause. It is always a give and take situation whenever it comes to offering or sacrifices. Those who sacrifice themselves completely to God get their reward accordingly. This is ultimate teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, of Sri Krishna to Arjuna, of saying that you cherish the gods with this act of sacrifice. As the fuel that gives itself away to fire becomes fire in its turn. The ahuti that we make of ghee in the fire while making a homa, while making some sacrifice, yajna. This is the actual, the physical yajna that is being performed now. This is the example. The actual physical yajna where you have the homa and the fire is burning and you keep on pouring fuel. Fuel in terms of ghee, fuel in terms of parched rice. That makes the fire burn more proficiently. Now, as the fuel that gives itself away to fire becomes fire in turn. Whatever we are offering to the fire, in turn, it also becomes part of the fire. Then it is not that it is just, oil burning or the rice burning or those samidas burning, but they become very much part and parcel of that fire itself. Likewise, when we offer our senses to say our chosen deity, that itself becomes a fire of oblation, of offering. As the fuel that gives itself away to fire becomes fire in its turn, the devotees who surrender their everything to the Lord become one with the Lord. Yeah, then we are no more. Once we offer ourselves, once we say for example we are those the droplets of ghee entering the fire. What happens? The ghee itself takes form, becomes the form of fire. So when we are offering ourselves to the Lord, naturally we have to be one with the Lord. Like that, ghee itself becomes fire. By sacrificing his all to God, man attains godhood. This is the supreme good that yajna brings. So this is the actual teaching of Sri Krishna to Arjuna. Why telling him why you should do this act of sacrifice, why you should do this act of giving up, why you should do this act of doing the work with attachment. Give away the attachment and start doing your work. That itself will bring you the ultimate result of being one with the Lord, being one with the Mother. Now, what Sri Ramakrishna has to say on the meaning of this shloka. Sri Ramakrishna says, whatever you offer to the Lord is returned to you, magnified manifold. It is not that you offer 10 pranams to the Lord and you get back, 10 blessings. You offer 10 pranams to the Lord, Lord would give you manifold blessings, hundreds and thousands. Take care, therefore, that you do not offer anything bad to him. As simple as that. Such a simple advice, but a profound advice Sri Ramakrishna has given. Whatever you give to Lord, it comes back to you. The Lord never keeps anything with him. The mother never keeps anything with her. Whatever you give, mother gives you back. Manifold. Like Sri Ramakrishna also used to say. You take one step towards God, God will take 10 steps towards you and come to you. It is not that God just wants you to come up to Him. No, God is just waiting for you to take that first tiny step. And you take it. God will take 10 steps, 100 steps, and God will come to you. So that is the teaching that Sri Krishna has given us in this 11th shloka, that you cherish the Lord, God will also cherish you, and thus cherishing each other, remaining getting into that act of mutual happiness, mutual cherishing, you will get the ultimate result of becoming one with the Lord. So that's all in this 11th shloka as of today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swami.